Don't know with you guys, but this is a design I've never seen on a mechanical keyboard before. It looks very RGB full and sounds good too. This is the Epomaker TH85 wireless mechanical keyboard, and this we will go over in today's video. Hi, I'm Daniel with the Biboyharanero team. We've been reviewing keyboards, mice, and audio gear since 2019. Consider subscribing so you're always updated with our new posts. Anyways, this is a tri-mode mechanical keyboard, meaning it connects via wired, wireless 2.4 GHz dongle, and Bluetooth. It's worth mentioning that this has 3 Bluetooth connectivities for a total of 5 connectivities, toggleable by the power switch. This is powered by 4000 mAh battery pack within, which I think is ample enough, but would have benefited from a bigger battery due to the amount of RGBs. I tested this out for gaming and it did not disappoint, as it's got NKRO or all-key anti-ghosting, basically allowing you to press all keys without interference. Then it's got a 1000 Hz polling rate for standard response and is usable for casual and even competitive gaming. My unit came with Epomaker Creamy Jades, which are tactile switches but have a light bump. They feel really good to type on and they're pre-lubricated too. The TH85 is a full hot swap mechanical keyboard, so any 3-pin or 5-pin switch will fit. No need to worry about switch pin thickness, as this has universal compatibility. This is also VIA compatible, by the way, which is complete with key binding multiple layers, macro recording, and LED customization. There are 3 RGB LEDs that you can customize, including the logo key LED, button LEDs, and side lights too. Now inside the box, you'd get the keyboard, cable, key puller combo, 2 extra switches, documentation, and a PET dust cover. Leave the dust cover on when not in use so you maintain a clean keyboard. Then the dongle is stored by the kick-up feet underneath in case you couldn't find it. Speaking of kick-up feet, yes, you may angle this thanks to the 2-level kick-ups. You also get rubber pads underneath so it does not move around. The keyboard's weight is a little bit above average, and there are a few components of the keyboard that contribute to it. One is the silicone bottom pad, which is the best sound-absorbing material for a deeper thok. Tapping on the keyboard, there isn't much hollowness to it as it's fully dampened. By the top side, you will find a connection switch along with USB-C input and OS switch. Overall, despite having a full plastic build, the keyboard feels like it will hold up for a long time. Something to expect from Epomaker keyboards. Keycaps are double-shot PBT in cherry profile. If you're new to keyboards, I highly recommend you get used to the cherry profile. Personally, I think it's the most comfortable keycap profile to type on, with the curvature having a higher bottom row and top row versus the middle. I wish I could say the same with other keycap profiles, but my hands are just, they type faster and more accurately with cherries. The stabilizers are fairly tight but not perfectly fitted onto the positioning plate, as there's still very minimal wobble to the stabilizers. However, when tapping onto the modifiers, I don't really hear a lot of rattling. In fact, there's almost no rattling unless you have very sensitive ears. Overall stabilizer performance is okay. Now for the switches. These are tactile switches with 45-gram springs within. They're not too heavy, and the bump isn't also too snappy. So it kind of almost feels like a linear switch with a little bit of bump. I think light fingers would have more feel for the bump, while heavy fingers out there may find this a little light for a tactile switch. I have light fingers, and I'm used to 37-gram springs, and I found that the spring weight is just okay, and the bump feels good. Anyhow, here's a sound test. This is offered in 3 colorways. You get a tri-colored black and white with some blue, another with a dominant white, and a black one. Looking at the side panels where RGB light shines through, you get a grille that to me looks masculine and kind of gamer inspired, if you will. Looking around the keyboard, you do not get any dedicated light indicators. However, when pressing caps lock, you get a static white color. And the same goes with Winlock. Looking around the keyboard, you do get branding on an aluminum sheet. You get those on both sides of the keyboard and on top of the arrow keys. Speaking about the logo, you can change the RGB mode on the light strip there. This is customable via VIA. Wait, what? Or you may freely keep the manual, as I believe there's dedicated controls for the light strip, but I didn't care to check. Same goes for the side lights being customizable in its software. As for the keys, you may cycle through the LED modes with function key and backspace. And actually, we did just figure out how to cycle through the modes of the light strips. You press function key and delete for those. Overall, the RGB is acceptably bright. It's not disappointing for me, and also I think this would do just fine as a keyboard for an RGB lover. So that's it. I mentioned all I believe needs mentioning. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments section below. I will leave links down on the description on where to get your Epomaker TH85. Access that and get me a cup of coffee, as I do get a little bit of commission from those links. Thank you in advance, and I hope to see you in our next videos. Subscribe.